Chapter 9, Biotechnology Principle and Processes. Biotechnology deals with using live organisms or enzymes from organisms to produce products and processes useful to humans. In this sense, making curd, bread, or wine, which are all micro-mediated processes, could also be thought as form of biotechnology. However, it is used in restricted sense today to refer to such of those process which use genetically modified organisms to achieve the same on a large scale. Further, many other processor techniques are also included under biotechnology. For example, in vitro fertilization leading to a test tube baby, synthesizing a gene and using it, developing a DNA vaccine or correcting a defective gene are all part of biotechnology. The European Federation of Biotechnology (EFB) has given a definition of biotechnology that encompasses both traditional view and modern molecular biotechnology. The definition given by EFB is as follows: the integration of a natural science and organism cells, parts, thereof, and molecular analogs for products and services. 9.1 Principle and Biotechnology. Among many, the two core techniques that enabled birth of a modern biotechnology are genetic engineering, technique to alter the chemistry of a genetic material DNA and RNA, to introduce these into host organism and thus change the phenotype of a host organism. Bioprocess engineering, maintenance of a sterile microbial contamination-free ambience in chemical engineering process to enable growth of only the desired microbe. Eukaryotic cell in a large quantities for the manufacture of biotechnology products like antibiotics, vaccines, enzymes, etc. Let us now understand the conceptual developments of principles of genetic engineering. You probably appreciate the advantage of a sexual reproduction over asexual reproduction. The former provides opportunities for variation and formulation of unique combination of a genetic setup, some of which may be beneficial to the organism as well as the population. Asexual reproduction preserves the genetic information while sexual reproduction permits variation. Traditional hybridization procedures used in plants and animal breeding very often lead to inclusion and multiplication of an undesirable gene along with the desired gene. The technique of genetic engineering, which include creation of recombinant DNA, use of gene cloning, and gene transfer, overcome these limitations and allow us to isolate and introduce only one or set of desirable gene without introducing undesirable genes into the target organism. Do you know the likely fate of a piece of a DNA which is somehow transferred into an alien organism? Most likely, this piece of a DNA would not be able to multiply itself in the progeny cells of the organism, but when it gets integrated into the genome of the recipient, it may multiply and be inherited along with the host DNA. This is because the alien piece of DNA has become a part of a chromosome which has ability to replicate in a chromosome. There is a specific DNA sequence called the origin of a replication, which is responsible for initiating replication. Therefore, for the multiplication of any alien piece of a DNA in an organism, it needs to be a part of a chromosome, which is a specific sequence known as origin of replication. Thus, an alien DNA is linked with the origin of replication so that this piece of DNA can replicate and multiply itself in the host organism. This can also be called cloning or making multiple identical copies of any template DNA. Let us now focus on the first instance of the construction of a material artificial recombinant DNA molecule. The construction of a first recombinant DNA emerged from the possibilities for linking a gene encoding antibiotic resistance with a native plasmid. Autonomously replicating circular extrachromosomal DNA was Salmonella typhimurium. Stanley Cohen and Herbert Boyer accomplished this in 1972 by isolating the antibiotic resistant gene by cutting out a piece of a DNA from a plasmid which was responsible for confirming antibiotic resistance. The cutting of DNA at specific locations has become possible with the discovery of the so-called molecular scissor restriction enzyme. The cut piece of DNA was then linked with the plasmid DNA. This plasmid DNA act as vector to transfer the alien piece of a DNA attached to it. You probably know that mosquito acts an insect vector to transfer the malarial parasite into human body. In the same way, a plasmid can be used as a vector to deliver an alien piece of DNA into the host organism. The linking of an antibiotic resistant gene with the plasmid vector becomes possible within the enzyme DNA ligase, which acts on a cut DNA molecules and joins their ends. This makes a new combination of circular autonomously replicating DNA created into in vitro and in is known as recombinant DNA. When this DNA is transferred into the Escherichia coli, a bacterium closely related to Salmonella, it could replicate using the new host DNA polymerase enzyme and make multiple copies. The ability to multiply copies of an antibiotic resistant gene in E. coli was called cloning of antibiotic resistant gene in E. coli. You can hence infer that there are three basic steps in genetically modifying an organism: identification of a DNA with desirable genes, introduction of identified DNA into the host, maintenance of introduced DNA in the host, and transfer of the DNA to its progeny. Tools 9.2. Tools of recombinant DNA technology. Now we know from the foregoing discussion that genetic engineering or recombinant DNA technology can be accomplished only if we have the key tools: restriction enzyme, polymerase enzyme, ligase, vectors, and the host organism. Let us try to understand some of these in detail. Restriction enzymes. In the year 1963, there are two enzymes responsible for restricting the growth of bacteriophages. In Escherichia coli, were isolated. One of these added methyl group to DNA, while the other cut DNA. The latter was called restriction endonuclease. The first restriction endonuclease, hence second, whose functioning depend on a specific DNA nucleotide sequence, was isolated on and characterized 5 years later. It was found that hence second always cut DNA molecules at a particular point by recognizing a specific sequence for 6 weeks pair. This specific base sequence is known as recognition sequence for Hin second. Beside Hin second, today we know more than 900 strains enzymes that have been isolated from over 230 strains of the bacteria, each of which recognize a different recognition sequence. The convention of for naming these enzymes is the first letter of the name comes from the genus and the second letter comes from the species of the prokaryotic cell from which they are isolated. Example: eco R1 comes from Escherichia coli RY13 in eco R1. The letter R is derived from the name of the strain. Roman number following the name indicate the order in which the enzyme were isolated from that strain of bacteria. Restriction enzyme belongs to a larger class of enzyme called nucleases. These are of two kinds: exonuclease and endonucleases. Exonucleases remove nucleotide from the end of the DNA, where endonucleases make cuts at a specific position within the DNA. Each restriction endonuclease function by inspecting the length of the DNA sequence. Once it's find its specific recognition sequence in it will bind to the DNA and cut each of the two strands of the double helix at a specific point in their sugar phosphate backbones. Each restriction endonuclease recognizes a specific palindromic sequence in the DNA. Do you know what palindromes are? These are a group of letters that form the same word when read both forward and backward. Example: Malayalam. As against a word palindrome where the same word is read in both directions. The palindrome in DNA is a sequence of a base pair that reads same on the two strands when orientation of reading is kept the same. For example, the following sequences read the same on the two strands in 5 prime to 3 prime direction. This is also true if read in 3 prime to 5 prime direction. 5 prime to 3 prime GAATTC, 5 prime to 3 prime, 3 prime to 5 prime CTTAAG. Restriction enzymes cut the strand of DNA a little away from the center of the palindrome site, but between the same two bases on the opposite strands. These leaves single strand portion at the ends. There are overhanging stretches called sticky ends on each strand. These are named so because they form hydrogen bond with their complementary cut counterparts. This stickiness of the ends facilitates the action of enzyme DNA ligase. Restriction and nucleus are used in genetic engineering to form recombinant molecules of DNA which are composed of DNA from different source genomes. When cut by the same restriction enzyme, the resultant DNA fragments have the same kind of sticky ends. This can be joined end to end using DNA ligase. You may have realized that normally, unless one cut the vector and the source DNA with the same restriction enzyme, the recombinant vector molecule cannot be created. Separation and isolation of a DNA fragment. The cutting of the DNA by restriction and the nucleus resulting in the fragmentation of a DNA. These fragments can be separated by the technique known as gel electrophoresis. Since DNA fragments are negatively charged molecules, they can be separated by the forcing them to move towards the anode under an electric field through a medium matrix. Nowadays, that most commonly used matrix in is agarose, which is a polymer of extracted from seaweeds. The DNA fragments separated dissolve according to their size through sieving effect provided by the agarose gel. Hence, the smaller the fragment size, the farther it moves. Look at figure 9.3 and guess at which end of the gel the sample was loaded. The separated DNA fragment can be visualized only after staining the DNA with a compound known as ethidium bromide followed by the exposure to UV radiation. You cannot see pure DNA fragment in visible light and without staining. You can see bright orange colored bands of a DNA in a ethidium bromide stained gel exposed to UV light. The separated bands of a DNA are cut out from the agarose gel and extracted from the gel piece. This step is known as the illusion. The DNA fragments purified in this way are used in the constructing recombinant DNA by joining them with the cloning vectors. Cloning vectors. You know that plasmids and bacteriophages have the ability to replicate within the bacterial cells independent of a control by chromosomal DNA. Bacteriophages, because of their high number per cell, have very high copy number of their genome within the bacteria cell. Some plasmids may have only one or two copies per cell, where other may have 15 to 100 copies per cell. Their numbers can go even higher. If we are able to link an alien piece of a DNA with a bacteriophage or plasmid DNA, we can multiply its number equal to the copy number of a plasmid or bacteriophage. Vectors used at present and are engineered in such a way that they help easy linking of foreign DNA and selection of recombinant from non-recombinants. The following are the features of the that are required to facilitate cloning into a vector. Origin of replication. Alright. This is a sequence from where replication starts and any piece of a DNA when linked to this sequence can be made to be replicate within the host cells. This sequence is also responsible for controlling the copy number of a linked DNA. So if one wants to recover many copies of a target DNA, it should be cloned in a vector whose origin support high copy number. Selectable marker. In addition to ORI, the vector requires a selectable marker which helps in identifying the eliminating non-transformant and selective permitting the growth of a transformants. Transformation is a procedure through which a piece of a DNA introduced into host bacterium. You will study the process in subsequent section. Normally, the genes encoding resistance to antibiotics such as ampicillin, chromophenicol, tetracycline, or kanamycin, etc., are useful selectable markers for E. coli. The normal E. coli cells do not carry resistance against any of these antibiotics. Cloning sites. In order to link the alien DNA, the vector needs to have very few preferable single recognition sites. For the commonly used restriction enzyme, presence of more than one recognition site within the vector will generate several fragments which will complicate the gene cloning. The ligation of alien DNA is carried out at a restriction site present in one of the two antibiotic resistant genes. For example, you can ligate a foreign DNA at the BAMH1 site of a tetracycline resistant gene in the vector PBR322. The recombinant plasmid will lose tetracycline resistance due to insertion of a foreign DNA, but can still be selected out from non-recombinant ones by plating the transformant on the tetracycline containing medium. The transforming growing on ampicillin counting medium are then transferred on a medium containing tetracycline. The recombinant will grow in ampicillin containing medium but not on that containing tetracycline. But non-recombinant will grow on the medium containing both the antibiotics. In this case, one antibiotic resistant gene helps in the selecting the transformant where the other antibiotic resistant gene get inactivated due to insertion of alien DNA and helps in the selection of recombinants. Selection of recombinant due to inactivation of antibiotic is a cumbersome procedure because it requires a simultaneous plating on two plates having a different antibiotics. Therefore, alternative selectable markers have been developed which differentiate recombinant from non-recombinant on the basis of their ability to produce color in the presence of a chromogenic substrate. In this recombinant DNA is inserted within the coding sequence of an enzyme beta galactosidase. This results into the inactivation of the gene for synthesis of an enzyme, which is referred to insertional inactivation. The presence of a chromogenic substrate which gives blue colored colonies if the plasmid in the vector does not have an insert. Presence of insert results into the insertional inactivation of the beta galactosidase gene, and colonies do not produce any color. These are identified as recombinant colonies. Vectors for cloning genes in plants and animals. You may be surprised to know that we have learned the lesson transforming genes into plant and animal from bacteria and viruses which have known this for ages. How to deliver genes to transform eukaryotic cell and force them to do what the bacteria or viruses want. For example, Agrobacterium tunicaceum, a pathogen of several dicot plants, is able to deliver a piece of DNA known as tDNA to transform a normal plant cell into a tumor and direct these tumor cells to produce the chemicals required by pathogen. Similarly, retrovirus in animals have ability to transform normal cells into the cancerous cells. A better understanding of an art of delivering a genes by pathogens in their eukaryotic hosts has generated knowledge to transform these tools of a pathogen into the useful vectors for delivering agents interest of interest to humans. The tumor-inducing Ti plasmid of Agrobacterium tumefaciens has now been modified into a cloning vector which is no more pathogenic to plants but is still able to use mechanism to deliver genes of our interest into a variety of plants. Similarly, retrovirus have also been disarmed and are now used to deliver desirable genes into the animal cells. So once gene or DNA fragment has been ligated into a suitable vector, it is transferred into a bacterial plant or animal host where it multiplies. Competent host for transformation with recombinant DNA. Since DNA is a hydrophilic molecule, it cannot pass through cell membranes. Why? In order to force bacteria to take up the plasmid, the bacterial cells must first be made competent to take up DNA. This is done by treating them with a specific concentration of a divalent cation such as calcium, which increase the efficiency with which DNA enters the bacterium through pores in its cell wall. Recombinant DNA can then be forced into such cells by incubating the cells with the recombinant DNA on ice, followed by placing them briefly at 42 degrees Celsius heat shock and then putting them back on ice. This enables the bacteria to take up the recombinant DNA. This is not the only way to introduce alien DNA into the host cells. In a method known as microinjection, recombinant DNA is directly injected into the nucleus of an animal cell. In another method suitable for plants, cells are bombarded with a high velocity microparticles of gold or tungsten coated with DNA in a method known as biolistics or gene gun. And the last method uses disarmed pathogen vectors when allowed to infect the cell, transfer the recombinant DNA into the host. Now that we have learned about the tools for constructing recombinant DNA, let us discuss the process facilitating recombinant DNA technology. Process of recombinant DNA technology. Recombinant DNA technology involves several steps in a specific sequence, such as isolation of a DNA, fragmentation of a DNA by restriction, endonuclease isolation of a desired DNA fragment, ligation of a DNA fragment into a vector, transforming in the recombinant DNA into the host, culturing the host cells in a medium at a large scale, and extraction of the desired product. Such let us examine each of these steps in some details. Isolation of a genetic material, DNA. Recall that nucleic acid in the genetic material of all organisms without exception. In majority of organisms, this is deoxyribonucleic acid or DNA. In order to cut the DNA with restriction enzyme, it needs to be pure form, free from other macromolecules. Since the DNA is enclosed within the membranes, we have to break the cell open to release DNA along with other macromolecules such as RNA, proteins, polysaccharides, and also lipids. This can be achieved by treating the bacterial cells, plants, or animals tissue with enzymes such as lysozyme, bacteria, cellular plant cells, chitinase, fungus. You know that genes are located on long molecules of DNA intertwined with proteins such as histones. The RNA can be removed by treatment with nuclease, where proteins can be removed by treatment with proteases. Other molecules can be removed by the appropriate treatment and purified DNA and ultimately precipitate out after the addition of a chilled ethanol. This can be seen as collection of fine threads in the suspension. Cutting of a DNA at a specific locations, restriction, enzyme digestion, and are performed by incubating purified DNA molecules with the restriction enzyme at the optimal condition for that specific enzyme. A gross gel electrophoresis is employed to check the progression of a restriction enzyme digestion. DNA is negatively charged molecule, hence it moves towards the positive electrode anode. The process repeated by the vector DNA. Also, the joining of a DNA involves several process after having cut the source DNA as well as the vector DNA with the specific restriction enzyme. The cut out gene of interest from the source DNA and cut the vector with the space and are mixed and ligase is added. This results in the preparation of recombinant DNA. Ampicillin of gene interest using PCR. PCR stands for polymerase chain reaction. In this reaction, multiple copies of the gene or DNA of interest is synthesized in vitro using two sets of primers. Small chemically synthesized oligonucleotides that are complementary to region of DNA and the enzyme DNA polymerase. The enzyme extends the primers using the nucleotides provides in the reaction and the genomic DNA as a template. If the process of replication of a DNA is repeated many times, the segment of a DNA can be amplified to approximately billion times. 1 billion copies are made. Such repeated amplification is achieved by the use of a thermostable DNA polymerase isolated from bacterium Thermus aquaticus, which remain active during the high temperature induced denaturation of a remain direction of a double-stranded DNA. The amplified fragment is, if desired, can now be used to ligate with a vector for further cloning. Insertion of recombinant DNA into the host cell organisms. There are several methods of introducing the ligated DNA into the recipient cells. The recipient cells, after making them competent to receive, take up DNA present in its surrounding. So, if a recombinant DNA bearing a gene for resistance to an antibiotic, example ampicillin, is transferred into the Escherichia coli cells, The host cells become transformed into ampicillin resistant cells if we spread the transformed cells on agar plates containing ampicillin. Only transformed will grow. Untransformed recipient cell will die. Since due to ampicillin resistant gene, one is able to select a transformed cell in the presence of ampicillin. The ampicillin resistant gene is in this case is called a selectable marker. Obtaining the foreign gene product: when you insert a piece of alien DNA into the cloning vector and transfer into a bacterial, plant or animal cell, the alien DNA gets multiplied in almost all recombinant technology. The ultimate aim is to produce a desirable protein, hence there is a need for recombinant DNA to be expressed. The foreign gene gets expressed under appropriate conditions. This expression of foreign genes in host cells involve understanding many technical details. After having the gene of interest and having optimized the condition to induce the expression for the target protein, one has to consider producing it on a large scale. Can you think of any reasons why there is a need for a large scale production? If any protein encoding gene is expressed in a heterologous host, it is called recombinant protein. This the cell harboring cloned genes of interest may be grown on a small scale in a laboratory. The cultures may be used for extracting a desired protein and they purifying it by using different separation techniques. The cells can also be multiplied in a continuous culture system wherein the use of a medium is drained out from one side while fresh medium is added from the other to maintain the cells in their physiological most active log exponential phase. This type of culturing methods produce a larger biomass leading to a higher yield of desired protein. A small volume culture cannot yield appreciable quantities of products. To produce in a large quantity, the development of a bioreactor where large volume 100 to 1000 liter of culture can be processed was required. Thus, bioreactors can be thought of vessels in which raw material are biologically converted into specific products. Individual enzymes, etc., using a microbial plant, animals, or human cells. A bioreactor provides the optimal condition for achieving the desired product by providing optimum growth condition, temperature, pH, substrate, salt, vitamins, oxygen. The most commonly used bioreactors are stirring type, which are shown in figure 9.7. A stirred tank reactor is usually cylindrical or within the curved base. To facilitate the mixing of a reactor contents, the stirrer facilitates even mixing and oxygen availability throughout the bioreactor. Alternatively, air can be bubbled through the reactor. If you look at the figure closely, you will see that the bioreactor has an agitator system, an oxygen delivery system, and a foam control system, a temperature control system, pH control system, and sampling ports so that small volumes of the culture can be withdrawn periodically. Downstream processing: after completion of a biosynthetic stage, the product has to be subjected through a series of processes before it is ready to marketing as a finished product. The process includes separation and purification, which are collectively referred to as downstream processing. The product has to be formulated with suitable preservatives. Such formulation has to undergo through clinical trials, as in case of drugs. Strict quality control testing for each product is also required. The downstream processing and quality control testing vary from product to product. Thank you, and sorry for some mistakes because today I'm not good in condition my health. Thank you.